Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel here with Europa Universalis 5, where we are going to be playing a new game. Did come out today. I have about 3 hours kind of playing around with the game a little bit, trying to learn the mechanics, which I am nowhere near having learned because there's just so much. So much. Wait, but I mean that in a good way. So we are going to select any country, and that plays one of the recommended ones because I do learn the hard way, sometimes the painful way the best. It's the only way I seem to learn. Did have my first crash recently with the game, so hopefully that's not a sign of things to come. Because I will say, from what I have played and seen so far, it is by far the best game I've ever seen Paradox put out. I don't mean in like a finished product. There are still things to get cleaned up, the running, the bugs, all of it. What I mean by that is the depth. Like you've got the populations, you've got the goods, you've got the trade, you've got how manpower works now, you've got, the people, all of it is just so much more than before. So we are going to go here and we are going to play against Poland. Now you can see that, right, Kazimierz the third PS, we're 26 years old, 91 administrative, 88 diplomatic, and 89 military. We have content, description, 13,000 manpower. We have no navy, 23.34 tax, a little over 1 million people in 78 territories. I'm not sure the difference is between greater and lesser Polish. There may, in fact, be one. I'm not sure. You can see we're almost 100% Catholic, although we do have a little bit of a Jewish minority. Game does start on the 1st of April, 1337. Did we turn on missions? All right, I'm going to sneeze, so I apologize. Hey! Hey! All right, so that does disable achievements, which I don't really understand why that one change disables achievements. But we're going to try to play as Poland. The Kingdom of Poland. Okay. For centuries, the Kingdom of Poland has found itself amid dynastic successes, wars, and fluctuating borders. The current ruler, King Kazimierz III, PS, started as an energetic reign in 1333, but despite his unification attempts, so he's been on the throne for 4 years. We are going to go down to 2 times speed. Many of the Polish subjects remained defiant in an effort to safeguard their established autonomy against the new king's diplomatic moves. Nonetheless, eager to introduce legislative and social changes of relevance, King Kazimierz III has already established the rights of the Jewish minority as well as the Polish peasants, earning him the title of the Peasant King. However, the war against the Teutonic Order has ravaged our borderlands, with King Kazimierz III fighting along with Grand Duke Gediminius against their common enemy, trying to gain back their occupied lands. Will he be able to establish a long-lasting peace in the border with the Teutonic Order, or to be able to continue his internal reforms, or shall the war continue ravaging the Polish lands? Now, we're not actually at war at the start. We can see right here in the agenda, there are so many things going on. Some of these are really kind of self-explanatory, but we will talk about manpower. Our manpower is a reserve of men ready to be recruited as regulars for our armies. Regulars are vastly superior to levies in battle, but they are expensive, so not every country can afford them at the beginning of the game. Relying on regulars to wage war, having low manpower severely limits our ability to replenish our army, so it is not wise to declare war while we have low manpower. If we're running out of manpower while at war, we should think about making greater use of levies, hiring mercenaries, or suing for peace. We can develop our nation's maximum manpower and ability to recruit a standing army with various buildings. The state privileges and laws can also impact our manpower potential, and we could build the following buildings to gain more manpower, which is the sergeantry. We have cabinet actions. We'll talk. We can talk about that later. Possible rivals. That's pretty basic. Your pops do demand goods, so we're missing fish, furniture, fine cloth, medicaments, saffron, jewelry, marbles, sugar, fruit. I think we're missing a few other things as well, from what I remember. But you can do something about that through trade if you have the trade power. Now, that's something again you don't always have. So we do start off here. We have, and I'm going to mispronounce all of this, and I apologize in advance. I'm going to do the best I can, and I'll try to figure out how to pronounce these words. I do love playing as Poland. Again, Poland and Hungary were the two countries that played as the most. It's super tempting to play as Bulgaria, but I decided to go with my old tried and true of Poland. We have the Polish Szlachta, which is the estate represents the families of the land and aristocrats in our country. Their privileges are guaranteed by old traditions that most have originally been won through performing great services to the state. Their traditional responsibility is to fight and protect the realm against outside dangers, as well as to help the ruler keep the peace. In general, it's better for the government estate to have more power than the other estates. Right? We also have the Dutch Widstow, which is the educated priests of our state religion. They have long tradition serving the administration of our country, and their traditional responsibility is to care for the spiritual well-being of it and our people. Over the centuries, they've acquired both land properties and privileges from former rulers as well as pious individuals. You also have the Ms. Shenstow, which is the estate of the urban population of our country, such as artisans, merchants, or others that reside inside city walls. Their traditional responsibility is to work to keep the economy going, and to do so efficiently, they can expect to be granted social privileges and and privileges. And then you've got the Shopstall, which is the lower class and the poor, who don't really have much of a voice. We have no, and you can see where people like us and dislike us. So the artisan class does not like us very well. We have 280 ducats, ranking 3.61 at the start, 29 stability, losing negative 0.02, 1.08 people, 104,000 overall. I'm guessing that's a annual growth. 75 legitimacy, plus 20 prestige, 5 diplomatic, and no war exhaustion. We have no manpower, which we kind of already talked about a little bit. Now, we are allied with the Duchy of Lithuania and the Kingdom of Hungary at the start through marriage, and the Duchy of Lithuania is still current at war. And just look at the little soldiers. Sorry, that is just cool, right? And you can see that you have 2 infantry levies and 1 cavalry, and so you have 317 or 327 people there. Up here, somewhere to the north, there we go. There's the main Lithuanian army. You can see the 5 infantry, and they're all levies. They have no regulars, but you can see that's about 4,000, little over 4,000 men in that army. And you can see you have some areas that have already been occupied by the Teutonic Order. You've got some Kalmno people down here. I think probably from the Teutonic Order. So, anyways, like I said, we don't actually start out at war with them. What is this? Oh, a new mission tree. Okay. So when you are deciding on your rivals, one thing that is very neat and I appreciate is it tells you now. We are weaker than the Golden Horde. We are balanced with the Kingdom of Georgia, the Byzantine Empire. I will say the Grand Principality of Muscovy are obviously dislikes us, so they will be one of our 3 rivals. The Duchy of Austria, we're already embargoing. then they dislike us, so we will declare them as a rivalry. And then Bohemia will also declare as a rivalry. So we've got a rivalry set. Diplomatic actions. All right, Serdaz, we're going to improve our opinion. And Lechia, we'll improve our opinion. Try to get our vassals to the point where we can annex them into Poland proper. Okay, research-wise, we are in the age of tradition, 64 to 90 advances. The only category we really haven't done yet is organized religion. We could look at the educate, not the educate. Well, it's kind of the education tree, the technology tree. And you can see everything in brown is what we've already researched. So it's really just the organized religion aspect of it. Religion plays a major role in every society, yet not every faith has the same structure. An organized religion has its rituals and belief systems systematically arranged and follows defined doctrines. So we have our technology going now. You can see there, right, we are improving relations. We do have an underage heir, Crown Prince Andrew Laus of Hungary. Now, he is Hungarian. He is the son of the king, of the Angevin king, Karoloi of Hungary, and his mother is Elizabeth of Piast. She is Polish, so he is the heir to the throne. Now, ourselves, we are 26 years old. We are married to Aldana Genamenasi of Lithuania, and we have two children, Elizabeta and Kingunda. So we have two daughters. We do not have any sons. I'm guessing that is why the son of the King of Hungary is considered our heir. Although it could be, I know there's also a diplomatic pact that the two kingdoms were going to be joined, so that might be what's going on. Now, what you can do with your children is you can change their education. So you have a balanced education right now, which costs zero point 0.5 ability increase during education. She is rowdy, military ability increase during education, which has anything but calm and quiet, always making their presence known and not at all in a peaceful manner. Now we're actually going to keep her as a balanced education. Her sister, on the other hand, whoops, is a prodigy. The future of this child is bright, and they are predestined to leave their name in the history books. Interesting. So if we wanted to go do an expensive education, that's 250 decades. Well, we only have 280 decades, so we don't have that. Should also remain balanced. You can see King Władysław and then Jadwiga Piast is her mother. And you can just kind of look at our dynasty tree. Where are we? There we are. 26 years old. We have the two daughters. King Casimir the Just. All right. I'm starting to get a little bit tired, so I apologize for the pause there. So we saw our dynasty tree. We do have unprofitable buildings and pops with needs. So because he is in Hungary, though, we can't do anything about his education. The Hungarians will have to do that. We have a lot of truces that will expire in 1343. I'm not going to worry about that too much. So you do have cabinet ministers. So you used to have ministers, right? So it's somewhat similar, but also different. So it costs 8 gold to appoint a minister. All of these people are members of the burghers, right? The Polish mieszczaństwo, right? And you can see the income after taxes plus 0.337, what it costs, monthly expenses. And so he has a 96, a 98 here, Misko Simonsold. So we can see what he is. He's a lesser Polish person. He's a real, you can ennoble him, you can execute him. Why? Interesting. We can also tell him to bury lowborn. Now, if we ennoble him, it will cost 10 legitimacy, and the Slachta will lose 5 estate satisfaction. But we are going to hire him as one of our ministers, because at 96 and 98, that's pretty darn good. Alright, so he is in a cabinet slot. Now, for our other cabinet person, we're actually going to I can't remember. I'm trying to remember right now. It's not in here, but there's a way you could hire a courtier to come in. But you can see here what he's good at: encourages migration, expels people, increase provincial control. So we're going to do that because you can see the green down here. This is where we have our control. So we're going to go to Shastawa, establish control there. Promote to the cabinet, or we can lock the cabinet. And there it is, hire the courier, 32.38 gold. We're going to do that. Wisla Kazbierski has come in. And he is a member of the Schlachta. He's a 65, 81, and a 56. So he's really not, although he's righteous, not really what we'd want. Carol's actually much better militarily. And Emil is actually better militarily and diplomatically. So I think I will hire Emil, even though they'll both be of the kind of the middle class faction. And the reason we did that is because you can stabilize the country and get 0.05 from it. Since we're losing stability, that's actually a pretty big thing. So our cabinet is now set. We've already talked about that with the underage heir. The mission trees, from what I understand, is they are a little bit more like, hey, if you do this, you achieve something, right? So, uh, infrastructure efforts, we could get 5 administrative, 5 diplomatic, and 5 military ability. I've completed a average control across our home region. Okay. Let's start with the economy. Let's do a traditional economy. Okay, so we have to try to get to peasant contentment, 60% satisfaction of the governor's estate. All right, so as you can see, we have unprofitable buildings and we have people who need goods. There are a couple of the bigger changes, obviously, in EU5 compared to EU4 is, the POP system. And the POP system is really, really something. And we will talk about that here in just a moment. Because we'll take a look at the different map modes. All right, tax base, pretty self-explanatory. We don't have a lot of great taxes going on. Now, the raw materials, this is one of the big changes, similar to the POPs, right? Now, what this is essentially is, well, one, very self-explanatory, of course, right? Raw materials. And that impacts the goods that your people need, and it also impacts, what you can produce in the different buildings and, trade that you can do as a country. So that is, well, trade obviously did exist in EU4, not like this. And so one of the main goods that we lack here at Poland at the start of the game is fish. Now you can see the one thing that I do hope they maybe update in the future is make it a little bit easier to see your country when you go to this map. Okay, but we do have salt here. You can kind of see how Poland's outlined here in the white. Right, we have sturdy grain. So we got some that's in Cerdas. All right, so right here we have sturdy grains. Sturdy grains are different kinds of cereal grasses that have been domesticated in many parts of the world at different points in time ever since the Neolithic. Their greater resistance to poor quality soils and dry conditions have made them into a more important food source in semi-arid regions compared to other kind of grain. And you can see here it gives us the market price. The sources, the raw good, the good demand, 6, transport costs, how much it outputs, right? The price of the Krakow market, the price, okay. The supply. That's the demand. Then we have the balance, and the price is 0.23. All right, so you have really it breaks down quite a bit, as you can see there. What did I click on? Proximity to the capital. Then we have the population, where you can see where most of the people reside in your country, and just overall as well. You have your different cultures, religions, diplomacy, who likes you, who doesn't, and then your tactical, if there are different advantages or disadvantages you could have. Kind of ran through that, but I do want to try to get the game running a little bit in terms of actual, playing. So you can see again, fish, furniture, fine cloth, we all need. So you can go here to production, you can say the goods, and I'll tell you the different buildings you can make. In the economy, where you can go to trading. Now this is different than what it was earlier. Huh. I have the food. So when I played earlier, it would show you the deficits. Okay, there we go. So we were showing all markets. So you can see this is what we are short in, and then what we actually have too much of or surplus of. So that makes more sense now. How do I close this? Okay, so now the market, so now it's closed. Okay, that's good. We already talked about that. Society, the economy, the government. We've already talked about that. The president, contentment. We have values. We have our country, of course. Geopolitics. You've got your advances. You have different works of art. You have religion, the people. All of that is part of the game. Sorry. I'm really trying to look. Um, there's our economy, the production, diplomacy, militarily, geopolitics. Does it have to do with we don't have any colonies, we don't have any provinces, we have vassals. Central country, we're a monarchy, and we have a kingdom, right? All right, so if you go in here, go to trading, right, and you can say trades for population needs. Sorry about that. Just yawn. I do think we're going to be wrapping up the episode. We don't have any current trades. All right, so we're getting 2.14 fish from Krakow to Oslo, and Venezia to Krakow. Now that's, I feel like, a further one away. Oh, maybe not, because they still don't have any trade capacity. That's interesting. So we can also go down here and see Krakow. Right, we have salt in the province. Right, we have 3,000 burgers in Krakow available for employment is 1,000. Current employment is 2. So one of the things we will do is you can kind of see what would make profit and where, or at least what would make it profit when you build it. Now we are going to build a sergeant tree, and we're going to put that in Krakow, which is going to cost 1 leather, zero point 0.4 masonry, 1 lumber, and 1 weaponry. We are going to let the game run a little bit now. You can see here comes the army of Lithuania. Oh, okay, he's just standing there. Not sure why he's looks like he's invading Poland, but Crown Prince Andrew Louis. We decided to give Crown Prince Andrew Laos an expensive education, or whether it's sufficient when it comes time to serving the in-depth education for our heir. Access to some of the best tutors and material source will grow or grant us unique knowledge as well as the best education money can buy. I don't know where they're marching to. They're marching somewhere. I do love the way they move on the map, though. That is pretty cool. So again, you can see we are almost 100% Polish. So we do have the division of Upper those they're Polish. Okay, there it is. The Vile Grand Principality acknowledges the declares as their rival. Same with Bohemia. All right, so you can see our parliament. We can call it 2 years. Our states, you can see the different reforms and the loyalty there, and then the laws that we can pass. Now, kind of like previous games, when you pass a privilege in one estate, the other estates can become damaged or jealous. Jewelry, fighting cloth, we are missing, and we are building a sergeantry there. And so you can see now we have 1,100 burgers available for employment, 3,500 living in the city. So again, like I really not trying to repeat myself too much, but I really do love the game. I think there's so much potential. I think they come so close to already hitting it out. Maybe not hitting it out of the ballpark, but hitting it quite a long ways. So, for example, the Shock guy, which has a 53% power rating, 64% satisfaction. is pretty good. Now, the burgers are at 50% and they only have 4% power. So if we wanted to give them a right, um, burger land rights, market fairs, interesting. Okay, we'll probably say that one for tomorrow. You can see we have 186 days or 187 days currently until we can build our sergeantry. Making 9.34 ducats a month now. We have 205 overall. Is there anything we can build? I'm gonna pause real quick. Sorry, here in late May of 1337. What is that? Books, printer shop, printing manufacturing, and a printing mill. I have none of that invented currently. So, what is this? The pottery? Potter's Guild of the Market. We also need. We have one location to produce good, and that's something obviously like Clay would go into. So, if we wanted to say, well, let's build something, now that we have a little bit of an idea of what we're missing, not a great idea, but a little bit, you can kind of see what the average cost would be expected. So, like, okay, he's not down there right now. Oh, they put no. Sandpit would give us some more. Carpenter's Guild would give us some. Apothecary, not that much. Jewelers Guild. Trade office, trading commerce are the lifeblood of any prosperous city. The trade office ensures that our merchants gain more opportunities to establish profitable relations with foreign traders. We get maritime presence, trade advantage, and trade capacity. Okay. Paper Makers Guild will make 1.79 ducats. So there is that in terms of our economy. The Spinners Guild, production of various textiles is offered in the course of a realm's economy. The Spinners Guild, which includes dryers, weavers, and fullers, maintains a steady production as well as a set of standards to ensure the quality and volume needed. All right, and Plock, you can get 1.88, although it is the prince of a Plock. But in Posen, where we have 0.12, we're going to build one there. All right, and in Posen, 1 out of 5 for wheat, 21 development, 66% market access, level 2 for it in Posen, and 250 nobles in there. That's what I was looking for. Um, Overall population. I guess is what I'm looking at. 21,279. Okay. Okay, so I was looking at the right place. Sorry, I got a little disjointed there at the end, but that's where we're going to wrap up today's episode. Tomorrow will be more into the game and gameplay. We'll see what happens. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Take care, stay safe, and I'll talk to y'all later.